Hey everyone, this is my day 1 Alchemical Hydra boss slayer guide. The guide will go over the following: gear setup, how to get to the boss, the fight, and tips and tricks. In this guide I use a toxic blowpipe. If you're using a different weapon, you probably need to stand in different spots to lure the boss and dodge attacks. Keep that in mind while you're watching the guide. If any mechanics or gear setup change, I will edit the description of the video to have the most up-to-date information. If you're watching this after day 1, take a quick look at the description to see if I added any new information. With all that being said, let's get started. Since the Hydra is only killable on task, you always want to be wearing your Slayer helmet to get the bonuses from your Slayer helm. For your necklace, you can wear a Necklace of Anguish or your best in slot range offensive bonus. For your top, you can wear an Armadillo top or best in slot offensive range top. For the legs, I wear an Armadillo chain skirt, or you can wear your best in slot offensive range bottom. For your cape slot, I have my Atlas assembler, or you can wear your best in slot Atlas device. For gloves, I take Barrow's gloves, or you can wear your best in slot offensive range glove. For the ring, I wear an archer's ring. For weapon, the best weapon to use against the boss is a twisted bow. The next best is a blowpipe with adamant darts or better. And then third is Dragon Hunter crossbow. And if you don't have any of those three, then you can go ahead and use your best in slot range dealing weapon. If you're using a blowpipe, then you can wear a blessed symbol for the extra prayer bonus. If you're using a crossbow or a twisted bow, then you'll be carrying the ammo instead. And finally, for the boots, the best in slot boots without the elite diary done are the boots of brimstone, followed by the boots of stone. If you have completed the current elite diary, you can wear any boots without taking damage from the dungeon. In that case, you should be wearing Pagations or your best in slot offensive range bonus. You want to definitely always be wearing these boots inside the dungeon, because if not, you're going to continuously take damage until you leave the dungeon or die. So make sure that you have a pair of these boots. The boots of stone are sold by any Slayer Master, and luckily the Slayer Master is right here on the mountain. You can just walk over and pick a couple of pairs. So let's go ahead and talk about inventory. Before I go ahead and leave the bank chest, I always do the following. I eat an angler, drink a super defense, and then I drink a range potion. And then I go ahead and once I'm done, I go ahead and I just go to the bank and just withdraw some more sharks. So let's pretend that I did that combination and then I withdraw sharks. So this is the final inventory that I take with me before heading down to the lair. So I'll go over it really quickly. I take 1 full range potion. I take 6 prayer potions. I take 1 antidote plus 3 dose. I take a full stamina potion. I take a teleport out of the boss lair. It doesn't have to be house tabs, just whichever you want. And then I do take a rune pouch with High Alch. High Alch is very useful for this boss since a lot of its drops are alchable and you want to save as much inventory space as possible. So I will highly suggest bringing High Alch with you. Even if you don't have a rune pouch, just take the runes with you. You definitely won't regret it. And that is it for the gear setup. Now let's talk about how to get up on this mountain. So the two main ways of getting on top of the mountain are with a skills necklace and with a fairy ring. I'm going to show you first the skill necklace route, which is the slower route, but it still works in case you don't have access to fairy rings. What you do is rub the necklace, and we're going to go to the farming guild. And so once we're at the farming guild, you're going to want to go ahead and go northeast all the way up to the mountain. If you don't have the agility requirement to climb up these rocks, then you're going to have to just go around this path. And if you don't have the agility requirement to go up the second set of rocks, then you're going to have to walk around the mountain. And you're going to be ending up along the top of the mountain right up here. And then just walk over to the bank chest, which is right here. And now for the second and fastest method is going to be the fairy ring option. If you have a fairy ring in your home, then you're going to want to go ahead and just use the fairy ring and end up at the front of the mountain. I don't have a fairy ring in my house, so what I do is I use my Slayer ring and I go to Relic of Slayer Cave. and then I equip my Drayman staff to go ahead and use the fairing. And the code is going to be CIR. That is the code to go ahead and get to the mountain. And it's going to say northeast of Farm and Go. So you're just going to want to click that. And then you're going to end up right here at the foot of the mountain. And the rest of the path is pretty straightforward, just like the first method. You walk up the rocks with the agility level. If you don't, walk around. Once you get up to the top of the mountain and you get yourself geared, it is time to make it to the lair of the boss. We're going to head to the very center of the mountain and we're going to activate this elevator, which is going to take us down to the inside of the mountain. So we'll just give it a second. And here we're at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and keep on going all the way north. There's a small little rock here that we do have to climb over. So we're just going to go ahead and climb over these rocks. Some hydras do spawn here, and it's really random which attack style they're going to use on you. It could be range, it could be mage, it's random, it's a 50-50. Just guess and hope you don't take any damage. And then once you are here, the boss lair is right over here. This NPC will go ahead and collect your items for you if you die, such as in Vorkath. If you do die, you will have to pay a 100k fee. The good news is that you don't have the cash on you. It will just withdraw it automatically from your bank, just like in Vorkath. And once you're here, you can go ahead and just climb over the rocks, and then you will be at the boss's lair. And that's pretty much about it. So now let's go ahead and let's get into the actual boss fight. So what I'm doing is I have a couple of clips recorded from earlier today, and I'm just talking over them, and I'm just going to be actively pausing and unpausing the video when I want to go ahead and mention something. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and open up the door, and you want to be praying range as well as your Eagle Eye or Rigor, depending on whichever one you have. If you have Rigor, use Rigor. But when you go ahead and you get into the boss lair, the boss can randomly shoot either range or magic. And when the boss shoots range or magic, he will be shooting it 3 times in a row and then switching over to the next style. So just keep that in mind. Whichever one he starts with, right afterwards, he's going to go ahead and transfer over to the next attack style. So right here, we have the magic style. It looks kind of wavy as to where the range one looks like shards. And you'll see it once he switches. But also I want to mention really quickly that all of these squares I do click on when I'm moving around the boss room. So the first square that I click on is going to be this very back corner right here, this southeast corner. So as you see, I click on here and I took damage there because I was praying range when he used that magic attack. So that's why I took that damage there. So I stand here, and the reason why I stand here is this red square right here, and you see this red water. This red water has to hit the boss for him to go ahead and get weakened. If you do not do this, the boss will take little to no damage, and you're just going to be shooting it without doing any sort of significant damage. So you want to always stand on this spot when you're starting a kill or when you're walking into the room. If you stand here, the boss will always walk into this square and he will always get hit. And you know he's hit because in the chat box it says the chemicals neutralize the Alchemical Hydra's defenses. And if you have not done it correctly, every time you shoot it, it will say the Alchemical Hydra's defense partially absorbs your attack. And you also get the clarification of the roar from up top, meaning that you have successfully done it. So we're going to go ahead and continue the kill. So I'm just praying mage right now, and then I switch over to range. And after the third mage attack, the boss is going to go ahead and shoot acid because he is in his green form. That is his acid form. For this acid form, you really just want to move over to this square right here. This is where we're going to be standing for the majority of this first wave. So we're going to just slowly transition over this way. So there goes the acid, and I do take a little bit of poison damage, but that's fine because I had an antidote plus that I drank, as well as a stamina. That doesn't matter, but I drank the antidote plus. That's why I didn't get poisoned. So we're going to go ahead here, and now that he is shooting range, this is what the range attack looks like. Let me back up real quick. And there we go. So that's the range attack. Like I said, it looks like little shards of glass. So there goes the first attack. And I'm just slowly heading over to this spot. I don't want to run just directly to this spot because I don't want to lose DPS on the boss. So what I do is I normally just click on one square, click on the boss, click on the square behind it, click on the boss. So right here I'm on this square, and the next square that we're going to be standing on is going to be this square right over here, right behind my little prayer board right there. So as soon as we finish the first phase, we're going to go ahead and stand over here. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and just keep on standing here. You don't have to move anymore unless the boss shoots more acid. But if you kill it fast enough, it won't shoot any more acid after that first wave, which is really important. And I also swapped my prayers to mage because he has done his third range attack. And now we are in the mage form. So we're going to go ahead and just take that second hit. And then here we go. So his head fell off. And now he's going to go ahead and turn it to the second form, which is the electric form. And as soon as you see the head drop, you just want to immediately run right over to this square. If you do step in this square, the boss will walk right over the green pool. And we want to keep him on this green pool so we can go ahead and have the green water hit him so he can go ahead and have his defenses broken. And there we go. His defenses are now broken as according to the chat box. So we're going to go ahead and just keep on doing damage. And I did close the chat box just to be able to have more room to see what's going on. So you won't be seeing any more of the chat box. So we're just going to keep on standing here. Remember that you always want to keep count of how many attacks he is doing because you can take unnecessary damage if you lose track. And for this form special attack, it is this blue energy ball. So he's going to shoot this blue energy ball right here into the center of the area. And it is going to shoot 4 lightning bolts, which you can kind of see them just flickering on and off. I paused and it's skipping the frame, but he's going to go ahead and shoot those 4 lightning bolts, and he shoots them in the 4 different corners of the arena. So he shoots one over here, he shoots one here, he shoots one here, and then he shoots one over here. And the order that they appear in are random. So he might shoot it here, 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 and here, or he might do it here, 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 and here. It's really random. In this case, we'll go back really quickly just to see where he shot it first. So he shoots the ball first, and then he shot the top left, then the top right, then the bottom left, then the bottom right. So for this phase, sometimes you will still get hit. I'm not sure about the exact pathing to 100% never take damage, but I feel like going left and hugging this wall is the best option. The reason why is going right and hugging the wall, if the boss ever does stand on the color that the tile is in, so he's in the electric phase, if he stands on this blue tile here with the blue water, he will regain his armor, and you're gonna have to re-lure him back to the green to go ahead and have his defenses broken so you can go ahead and continue attacking. So that's why I always like going to the left, because I know that even if I take damage, no matter what happens, he's gonna always be on that green square. And once the boss is hit by the green water, he can go ahead and leave that tile. That's fine. He doesn't always have to be there. It's just for consistency. I just like to have him always in that spot. So in this case, because he shot the lightning, I click on this square right here, followed by this square that's right here, and then just running along the wall over here. So you're gonna go ahead and see me do that. I click there. I don't wait for my character to get here. I kind of just have them along the path, and then I click up here. So I don't wait for him to stand here and then click, because that's going to be really slow movement, and the lightning is going to go ahead and catch up with you. And once the lightning does catch up with you, it's going to do damage and stun you, and you will no longer be able to move, meaning that the other lightning bolts might possibly hit you. And while all that is happening, you still have to make sure that the boss is hitting you with the correct style that you're praying. So just keep that in mind. So I click up there, and then I click on that square right there. This square, I could take it off. I don't really need the square. I kind of just like it there. But you can just keep on running along the wall. And as you see here, we have 1, 2, 3 lightning bolts, and the fourth one is back here. After a certain amount of squares, the lightning bolts do despawn, so they don't always chase you. So I'm running here, 1 despawn, 2, 3 spawn, and they all despawn. So after this phase, we're going to want to lure the boss over to this corner, right over here. Standing in this exact spot, the boss is going to be right on the edge of the blue tile, but he won't be hit by the water, meaning we'll still be able to attack him when he has his defenses down. So you're going to go ahead and see me run over here and just line up with this square right here. And like I said, while all that is happening, you have to keep your prayer to the correct form, or to the correct attack, so that way you don't take unnecessary damage. And then kind of like how I talked about before, I don't want to lose damage, so what I'm doing is I'm clicking 1 square behind and then the boss, 1 square behind and the boss, 1 square behind and then the boss. I could run right to the square. If it's simpler for you to do that, go for it. But for me, I'd much rather just get as much damage as possible, because I don't want a second electric phase happening. If you don't get the boss to swap phases fast enough, he will do another round of electricity, and it's way harder to deal with it in this spot than it is in the original spot. So just keep that in mind. And once you do enough damage, the boss will go into his third phase, which is the fire phase. And for this fire phase, I stand right here on this square, so you're going to see me stand back here. For this spot here, you could go ahead and just kite him like I was doing before, but this fire phase, he does his special attack really quickly. So just for time and just for consistency, I like just standing here and having the boss walk over before I go ahead and attack it. And then there we go, he has the aurora over his head, which means that the boss is now in his broken defense state. So I'm going to want to go ahead and I'm going to want to move to this square right here. This is where I'm going to want to stand for the starting of the special attack. So you're going to see me move over, just take some pretty big steps. And you don't have to stand in this exact spot, just somewhere along this row. If you have a twisted bow, you can stand, I believe, all the way back here in this corner and continue to shoot the boss. If you have a crossbow, you can stand somewhere further back, at least for the blowpipe, because it has a shorter range. I think that this is a pretty solid spot to go ahead and stand in. So what's going to happen here is the boss is going to go ahead and cover 4 lines in a row with fire, so you can't get out. So this is now the area that we are constricted to. This square right here doesn't actually let you click on it. So just keep that in mind. If you are ever running, don't click on this square. You're going to want to click on this square right here, which is why I have it marked. So what's going to happen is the boss is going to go ahead and shoot a line of fire that does follow you, and you need to go ahead and outrun it. So the boss just shot the fire and it's going to start following me. As soon as you see the boss do that animation or see the fire on the floor, you're going to want to go ahead and click on this back square that I have marked. And then as soon as your character gets to this back square, or maybe like 1 or 2 tiles before it, you're going to want to go in and click on this square right here. And you don't see the fire, but the fire is still following me even behind this wall here. So as soon as I get to here, I click on this square right here, and you can see here that the fire has still followed me, and then it is still going to follow me. And then right here, I'm going to click on this square right over here. You can walk through the fire, that's fine. You just can't stand in it or be hit by the actual line if it's right behind you. So as you see here, I am now on this square here. So the fire has stopped following me. If you see here, it kind of did like a triangle pattern. So we're going to go ahead and just continue to do damage to the boss. And like I said, while all that is happening, you have to remember what attack style you need to be on to not take damage. So I'm just going to stand here, keep on doing damage. This part is pretty self-explanatory. And now this is going to be the final phase of the boss. One thing to mention, so the boss, his last attack was a magic attack. What's a magic attack? Yeah, so the boss last shot a magic attack. Whichever attack style the boss shoots last with is going to start with the opposite. So because he shot last with magic, it doesn't matter what number you're on, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. As long as he's shot, he will always swap to the next one. So he is now in the final form, and this is known as the Jad phase. What's going to happen is you're going to have to swap between range prey and magic prey every single attack. So because I know that he shot with magic last, I'm going to go ahead and pray range. And he's going to hit me there. And I'm going to swap right over to magic. And then there we go. I did it a little bit late, but I still took no damage, which was nice. So then I'm going to pray range, and he's going to attack with range. And then I know that he is going to shoot with magic next. So after the third hit, the boss is going to go ahead and shoot more acid pools. And you're going to want to click somewhere on the southwest corner, anywhere along here. Reason why is if you move along any other direction, if any of the water pools do touch the boss, he will gain his defense back, which you really don't want to happen, especially on this phase. So no matter what, always click somewhere down here. Even if you have to click away further from the acid pools, which are right here, that's fine. As long as you just stop taking damage and have the boss come to you somewhere in this corner is the most ideal way to do it. So the pools fall, and then I'm just going to go ahead and just keep on doing damage. So we're going to go ahead and pray range, then pray mage, and then swap back to range, and then swap back to mage. And if you're fast enough, the boss won't do another acid pool attack. Just keep in mind that if you are a little bit slower, he might shoot out another acid pool. So that is it. We have successfully killed the boss. And then we go ahead and we pick up our loot. And now for the last part of the video, it is time for the tips and tricks. So the first tip that I have for you guys is it is possible to bring a BGS and a super combat if you are wearing Carol's or Dragonhide. In the clip that I showed you before, I didn't do it because I'm wearing Armado, which gives a -2 melee stats, so that's why I don't bring it. I have seen some people bring the BGS if they're wearing Carol's. I'm not sure if it's meta or if it's the best way to go ahead and fight the boss, but if you are wearing Carol's or Blessed Dragonhide, look into it and see if it is worth it to bring a BGS, because lowering its defense could really speed up your kills by a lot. The second tip that I have for you guys is to leave an empty spot in your rune pouch. Don't have any other rune in here. Reason why is very early on in your kills, when you start getting really good at the boss and you use no food, if you do get a rune drop, you want to go ahead and just put that rune right into the pouch rather than it having take up another inventory spot, which is really annoying because once you start having to juggle food, you just have to keep on maintaining the food juggles, and then you might lose the food, and it just gets very annoying. So just keep an extra spot open here in your room pouch to go ahead and have that free space. For the third tip, it's going to be talking about the fire phase and its alternative pattern for the fire setup. So how I mentioned in a couple clips before, if you are too late on killing the electric form, it will shoot another round of lightning, as in this clip here. So you're going to see me go ahead. It does transform to the fire phase, but then you see right over here, this blue orb did actually spawn, so it will go ahead and do the damage. There have been times where I have seen it spawn and it doesn't actually shoot out the lightning, and then there are times where it does, so just keep an eye on it and see. Worst case scenario, always expect the worst, so always expect to go ahead and have to do a couple more runs around. So there goes the lightning, and I, for whatever reason, I go ahead and I start running to the left just because of how the lightning spawned, and you see me run to the left. Now I do get shocked by the first lightning bolt, which does damage, and because I'm paralyzed, the second lightning will go ahead and hit me, and I am still going to go ahead and be stunned. Now for the alternative fire pattern, if you are standing in the center of the room rather in the corners, it's going to do a triangular pattern. So you're going to see that right here. So I tried to get back to the corner. For whatever reason, I tried to grab the shark, but the game automatically will just push you depending on your location, to a corner or the center. In this case, you saw me kind of just teleport right here to the middle. So the boss is going to go ahead and instead of shooting the fire sort of like in a square, it's going to go ahead and shoot it in a triangle right here. So the best way to go ahead and get around this is I like to stand in either bottom corners of the triangle. In this case, I chose the bottom left corner, and the fire is going to go ahead and follow you all the way down. And so as it's following you down, you just want to click to the other end of the triangle. So you see me moving down and the fire is still following me. And then I was a little bit too late on this movement. I think it's better to click on the square before the last square, because as you see, when I clicked over, my character walked into the fire and I took unnecessary damage and the game just kind of pushed me out. So if you're, for whatever reason, in this method, I'm not sure which one is the best one. I'm sorry, I just don't know because I never do this method. But you might want to click on the square beforehand. If it works, great. If you click on the corner and then run right across here and not take damage, that's also great. Anyway, so I go ahead and I just move out the way like this. And now that the fire has stopped following me, I kind of have just this center of the triangle free to myself. And you're going to do the same method as if we were in the corner. You're just going to want to go ahead and just shoot the boss and just keep your prayers up. So the last tip that I have is at the very end of the final phase, you want to go ahead and keep your prayer up to whatever prayer you need to be keeping up to avoid taking damage. So in this clip right here, the boss is almost dead, and we're going to go ahead and hit play on this. So right here, the boss has 0%, the boss is dead, I got the Slayer XP, and the boss is done his death animation. But depending on which tick you kill him, he still might shoot his last attack. In case of this clip here, the boss does shoot the acid attack, which I can just run away from. But in the case that it is the mage or the range attack, you want to still go ahead and keep praying that until the boss is for sure dead and you see the loot on the floor. Reason why is you don't want to take unnecessary damage, and if you're risking low HP and the boss does hit you with that last attack, I've seen it do somewhere in the 30s and 40s, and that can kill you at the very end of the kill, and that's not a lot of fun. And that is the end to this Alchemical Hydra boss slayer guide. I know it's a really long guide, and I know that there might be some mistakes, and depending on when you're watching the video, some things might be out of date. But this was done on day one, so if you do appreciate the video and found something useful, go ahead and leave it a thumbs up. If there is anything that has changed that I might not be aware of while you are watching this video, leave a comment and I'll make sure to add it into the description. And that is pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching, and good luck with getting those rare drops.